JRJM Entertainment presents a special edition of Hindsight is Horrifying. It's the TV Halloween special featuring a discussion of Community, Bob's Burgers, and some old show called Quantum Leap. Now, on with the show.
Hey! Welcome to this edition of Hindsight is Horrifying, the show where three mostly normal and somewhat cynical adults discuss life as members of the TV generation.
More cynical by
Now
the day.
here are your hosts, Darth Jada, Jason Mitchell, and Adam B.
This is going to be a very difficult show.
I need you to get it together.
Okay.
We've just started over Hindsighters, and Jason still can't compose his feelings. So let me go ahead and snag the intro from you there, Jason. Hindsighters, we've got a very special episode coming to you today because we are doing what we have dubbed the Halloween special, where the three of us got to pick three different Halloween specials from three different television shows that we all enjoy, and we're going to discuss them for you. So,
How succinct.
I try. Hey, on the second round, I'm way more succinct. So, the first episode that we'll be discussing is from the show Community, and it was Mr. B's pick. So, Mr. B, why don't you tell us what you picked?
And I'm very proud of him. Very, very proud.
He's converted us. He finally got us to watch Community.
As an evangelist for the show.
It only took you more than a year, but you were persistent.
I was not giving up.
You did not give up.
I resisted Community for as long as I could until I got a taste of it. Jason's like, just take a taste.
You
like a
like
drug
it, man.
dealer.
You like it.
Just take a sample.
All right, you can have it for free. That's right.
First one's free, and then you're pulled in for life.
And,
It is actually interesting, though. You picked Community, but you didn't pick the episode that I thought you were going to pick.
Right.
You picked the more...
Obscure.
Well, the other one is the easy one. Epidemiology. Everyone's going to pick the zombie episode. But you picked this one, and tell us why.
I'll tell you, because I had just recently watched it, so it was fresh in my head. And when I watched it, I felt as though the performances, the writing, everything was just so well put together. And,
Yes,
and as I was telling the gang beforehand, I felt like I was a surfer, and I was like surfing the dialogue. And I'm amazed that Dan Harmon can take each one of these individual characters and just create them in such a crisp and succinct way.
Yeah.
And they're so well put together that one human being can do that. Maybe he's got multiple writers, but I'm sure he's behind most of it. But
I think it's mainly Dan Harmon.
it's just...
He's the heartbeat of the show, for sure.
Well, and it's the fact that you've got people like Joel McHale and Allison Brie and Donald Glover who they made their characters and they know it. I mean, Danny Pudi knows Abed.
Oh, yeah, they built themselves from the ground up.
Yeah.
They had coffee with their characters, as you like to say,
Yes,
Jason.
exactly. Yes.
But the line that's coming up that's about to justify Mr. Brown's costume today, that's around the corner. So
I thought we were just going to ignore it and
okay.
just let it go the whole time.
We're going to ignore this? Are you sure? I'm not sure that I can. I mean, my witch hat, sure, that's nice in Halloween, but...
And I'm dressed like, Scott Bakula in a different episode of
that
Quantum
we'll be
Leap.
discussing here shortly.
Actually, I was just cold, so I just put a coat on.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a furry in the studio today, so that got a little strange. But, the surprises are part of the fun on this show.
To be fair, you're not necessarily a furry if you dress like it. You're a furry if you want to have sex with the people who dress like it.
Oh,
to be fair.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm not going to ask any questions about that. No.
Don't push it.
I'm looking
with
in
me.
this direction.
You don't have any pearls on to clutch.
Oh, God. Well, that answers that question. So anyway...
But here comes the line where Joel McHale, they're all leaving, and he's like pissed off that they're like going to help him. It's like, are you kidding me? What in the Scooby-Doo is happening to you people? So I had to wear the Scooby-Doo outfit.
So this, I don't think we've actually mentioned what episode it is.
No,
it's
please
called
do.
Paranormal Parentage. And the synopsis, it's very short. On Halloween, Pierce accidentally locks himself in his panic room, forcing the gang to search through his house to find the code that unlocks the door.
Cannon ham.
Pig. But yeah, so Britta is dressed up as a ham for some reason. And what's great is that Troy and Abed, the real couple on this show, are dressed like Calvin and Hobbes, which is just the cutest thing in the world.
It's kind of interesting because I remember watching this episode and the set always felt weird to me. Like how they built the set
On this particular
in
episode?
this episode,
Oh, okay.
just Pierce's house.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it almost feels like a Star Trek set.
Right.
It feels like Star
know?
Trek and Scooby-Doo had a baby.
Or a cheap fun house or something, you know?
Yeah.
But
It's almost like Miami Vice and what was the line in there? Some 80s show had a baby and vomited out Pierce's house or something.
Oh, I can't remember which person it was.
Oh
My
God.
tubular.
Tubular.
And I love his line.
I too love the
I
adjectives.
still lack the adjectives for this play.
I just love that.
Oh, was it lack?
Lack
okay,
the
I messed it up.
adjectives.
My
I
bad.
just love that Gillian Anderson or Gillian Jacobs is in that ham costume the
No.
whole episode, and it is Gillian.
And meanwhile,
Oh, thank you.
I found that out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently an easy way to rankle her is to call her Jillian.
oh,
So if you meet her, remember
it's like a
that.
GIF
Gillian.
versus
Yeah.
a GIF.
Yeah.
Remember the difference.
And in the
Meanwhile-
background, there's a picture of probably
Chase.
from Caddyshack.
That-
I'm
yeah.
I was
thinking.
guessing,
Yeah, yeah.
He looks like Todd from Caddyshack.
Ty.
Ty. There wasn't a Todd in that movie?
There probably was. It was
Okay.
the 80s.
I knew it started with a T.
There was a Todd.
It's been a
in
minute
every
since
movie.
I've watched it.
There was a
Ty.
Todd
No, 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 no,
in
no, no,
there was a
no.
Todd in Christmas Vacation.
Maybe that's what I'm messing up.
He
I
was
don't
with
know.
Margot.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm
who lived next
Mandela
door,
affecting.
yeah.
That's what there was a Todd in Caddyshack. No, but yeah, an old Chevy Chase. But meanwhile, you've got another bit going on. Jeff's costume, where he's a boxer because he's always trying to show off how fit he is.
Yeah.
And Annie's supposed to be his ring girl,
His
and she instead of showing up like a girl, one of the posters in the ring of a boxing ring. No, she shows up as the girl from the ring.
The monster
Yeah.
from
Yes,
the ring.
the
Pretty
monster.
freaky deaky, huh?
Oh my god!
And then, and I don't know, yeah, pretty freaky
Dean.
deaky. And then the beautiful part is like Jeff is not going to go with them to help.
No.
And I do love this dance too that she does when she's so happy.
This
She
is
See,
what it's like
this
to be in the
stuff.
zone.
Yeah.
Stuff that
the coins
I'm
on the
telling ya.
board, the game board.
name one other show that gives you stuff like that. A live action show.
Yeah.
I can't.
You know. And it's so interesting to look at the evolution of the Dan Harmon, because you go from this and then there's a little break and then we get Rick and Morty,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know? And it's like
And those shows couldn't be more different.
they couldn't be more different, but sort of like stylishly.
I mean,
like,
there are aspects
yeah,
that are definitely similar, but for the most part,
this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
because Abed is living out yet another. This is a fantasy that happened to him without him having to create it himself. So
a
Abed's
good point.
usually playing out movie scenes and manipulating his friends so that they have to do like the dinner with Andre or a scene
Yeah.
from this movie or whatever.
Or
it
Cougar
happens to be.
Town, which seems to be his latest.
Cougar Town.
Cougar
That's what
Town.
happens on Halloween. God.
I pooped my pants. I pooped my pants on Cooker.
But here's the scene where Annie is, she's scared, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, please don't, I can't appreciate the homage because I don't watch any horror movies. And she's walking. Look at just watch this transition here. Like the light, she adjusts it. Ah, okay.
The
That made her
OCD
OCD.
washes over her
It's
Yeah.
face.
good.
And I mean, how brilliant of an actress is Alison Brie?
Oh,
She's fantastic.
know.
extraordinary.
I mean, they all are.
Yeah.
This is a show with zero weak links.
Yeah, they all fit their roles to
Yeah.
a T. Every last one of them.
I love that Pierce's dad shows up with the ivory.
The ivory hair,
Yeah,
yes.
But let's.
I hate reference humor.
We did this episode. We did all this. We did this special today because we are fans of the Halloween special.
Yes.
Yes.
Because honestly, one of the best things about this season, and I think we can all admit, this is the best season. It's the best holiday. All the other holidays suck compared to Halloween.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
No.
episode comparisons.
Oh, no. Just the Halloween season.
It's Halloween reigns
Keep your
supreme.
Christmas, keep Thanksgiving, Easter and all that stuff. I
Right.
want Halloween all year long,
Okay.
But one of the best things I'm going to have to not watch it while I'm talking because I'm just going to laugh the whole time.
Oh, because Donald Glover finds Chevy Chase's sex palace.
Yeah, which he thought was his swing room. There's a swing there and a
You
lot of
gotta love-
collars and a lot of mask zippers on the mouth. I don't get that.
Oh, and he finds collars and he's like, oh, secret dogs. And he just does not understand anything that's going on in the playroom. It's ridiculous.
Donald Glover is a fucking genius.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's one of the best comedic actors.
I honestly think as far as comedic acting goes and writing too, because he's a gifted comedic writer.
Yep.
Donald Glover, please, I know you love doing music and it's great, but you did that. Please come back to comedy. Peter Sellers.
It doesn't have to be this
Mel
exact
Brooks,
comedy.
Donald Glover.
Right.
You know, Steve Martin at his prime.
That's about the highest praise you're ever going to get from a man like Jason
Yes.
Donald Glover. I'm telling you, that's a huge compliment coming from him.
I mean, Steve Martin got out of comedy for a while because he said it was too easy. You know?
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe with Donald Glover.
Well, now he plays a
it's the
sick
same.
banjo. So
Yeah.
I mean, he always did, but now he puts out Twitter banjo videos.
I saw a picture of him from the 70s, early 70s, of him holding his banjo, and he has like a full beard. And he's got a cigarette, and it's the most badass picture you've ever seen of a man holding a banjo.
He had a good one, not holding his banjo the other day, but he was just teasing himself on Twitter, and he says, yeah, I was really uncomfortable with this mask thing and people not recognizing me, so he put a little sign on top of his head that says Steve Martin, and it points down at his
See?
face.
There you go.
I love Steve Martin.
But Halloween episodes, that's sort of a staple of the TV generation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just...
Well,
when
because they're relatively recent.
I was trying to think about that. I couldn't remember. Like, when did this trend start? Because I remember it as a kid.
Well, I mean, it happens every so often, but it didn't happen on every show like it does now, where it's like, oh, the Bob's Burgers Halloween, oh, then the Christmas, and then or the Thanksgiving, and followed by the Christmas. Like a lot of shows do it more than I think they used to.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, there was, because we're going to go back tonight to 1980. Or 1990. Sorry, 1990.
Where are we right now?
This was
this was what season 4, right?
This is more long ago than I want to realize.
Probably 5-6 years ago, 7.
2013.
Yeah. 7 years ago.
Yeah, okay. 7 years ago. It's a long time.
So the Bob's Burgers one might be the most recent.
I think it is.
Now that I'm thinking about it, we'll find out. But anyway.
But what makes we can go through this as we go on. In general, what makes a good Halloween episode, and why does this one fit the bill?
I think it depends on the genre.
Okay.
Because the two of the three that we selected are comedies. And then you picked something more suspenseful, thriller-like. I know it scared the hell out of you as a kid when you first watched it.
Terrified me. A 10-year-old me was terrified.
And so with that, I think it would be more like jump scares and, like I said, the general suspense and insinuation of something that might be creeping up on you and might be right behind you. And the Community episode kind of does that with Pierce terrifying his friends in his little Scooby-Doo haunted house.
Totally being Pierce.
Totally going for jump
Totally
scares.
being Pierce.
And has completely modeled this house exactly for that purpose.
Yeah.
And there's multiple levels, right? You don't know what the Pierce is doing this at first. You think he's in trouble and they're working for him. Then at the end, you find out that it is a big thing that Pierce put together, but then there's that added twist with the mysterious silhouette that we don't know who it is. And then at the very end, it's very happy. And of course, another reason I was so attracted to this was because he was going to deliver the deeds for his 4 properties and the decommissioned submarine. Whoa! I want the decommissioned submarine.
Well, and it features, I think it's the first appearance of the guy who is now on The Mandalorian as the bad guy in The Mandalorian.
Who's that?
I cannot remember his name, but he did a table read with them the other day.
Yeah, Gilbert.
Gilbert was the bad guy in The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Because he's from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
He was the chicken guy.
Yeah, Gilbert's the guy with the Darksaber.
The Pollos Hermanos guy.
Pollos Hermanos. See.
Oh no, he's not the one. You said the bad guy.
No.
I was thinking the actual Mandalorian who did the table read. With
No.
I got them backwards. Sorry, but they both made appearances.
Renewed screaming. What do deaf people think when
I
they
have
watch
no
things
idea.
like this?
It's like trying to describe color to a blind person. It's just like, how would I even register this? I guess you would look at facial expressions more than anything
suppose.
else.
You have to wonder if, do deaf people end up using things that they see on TV? Because we do. We pick up things from TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, would a deaf person ever go, renewed screaming is a thing
They
that
probably
they...
point to each other and laugh.
Yeah.
Renewed screaming. What is that?
Maybe. But so the one who's really skeptical about this whole thing to begin with is that the gang, besides Pierce, besides Chevy Chase, was invited to this girl Vicky's Halloween party.
Right.
She apparently put a pencil through Chevy Chase's face.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't
Well, you
invited.
remember that episode?
I do.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking about it, and that I couldn't remember when I was watching it. I was like, wait a minute, did that really happen?
That was the election episode.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Where
Okay.
Pierce
I remember
came in
now.
and he turns his head and he's got a pencil sticking
Oh,
out of
no.
his head.
Because she said she stuck a pencil through his face, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Whoa, how did she not kill him?" But you're right. I totally remember that now.
Pop,
But-
pop.
Pop,
Pop,
pop.
pop.
But meanwhile, Abed has found the Scooby-Doo bookcase
Yes.
that rotates, and he's found the secret room of cameras. And so, like I said, he's fulfilling one of his crazy Abed fantasies that was
yes.
set up for him, as opposed to him trying to construct it himself. And meanwhile, the gang is terrified, running around, and he's just enjoying it and watching
Yeah.
Cougar Town in the background. He could care
And then
less.
putting together a mixtape at the end. So they're kind of late to the game. He goes, well, it's tough to put a mixtape together or
the
whatever.
montage takes time.
Montage, yeah, that's right.
So I think that Abed, I think Abed might actually exist in the real world.
I
think
hope so.
I think his
Of
character.
course he does.
I think Abed's character has transcended. He's like Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks. There's a theory.
Never
that,
watched it all the way through.
well, they filmed the last episode when they did Twin Peaks. The last scene in Twin Peaks was filmed at a certain time on a certain day. And it was set on the exact same day at the exact same time. And the person that Kyle MacLachlan interacts with is actually just the person who owns the house that they're filming at.
Oh,
And so it was like, and David Lynch is all into like tulpas and stuff like that. So it was
Sure.
like, was he trying to actually create Dale Cooper in the real world?
You gotta wonder.
Yeah. I think Abed is, oh, there he is. There's
Yeah,
Gilbert.
Gilbert, the half brother of Pierce, to whom Pierce lost his inheritance in a video game.
That was before this, right?
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
that-
That's how they
because-
first met Gilbert.
Because Annie walks in
Okay,
and
so
she's
this is
like,
the second time we've
Yes.
seen Gilbert.
yeah, because Annie was like, he must have had trouble after losing his dad and then losing his inheritance to his half brother that he didn't know existed in a video game. Wow, I've never said that out loud.
That is serious stuff, right?
But meanwhile, you think Gilbert's all menacing and he, snuck in, he's been living at Pierce's house for 6 weeks without Pierce knowing it. And he walked in and he's just like, oh, I came to give you the deed to the house. Oh, and there are fresh socks in the dryer.
Oh, I know.
It's
Here it
so
comes
sweet.
right here.
Yeah.
There's a load of clean socks in the dryer. He's a
Brilliant performance.
yes.
And he's almost the exact same person as he is on Breaking Bad because he's just
And The Mandalorian.
so straight. I haven't seen The
it's
Mandalorian.
like the same character.
Well, see, he knows how to play the game in Hollywood. He knows
Yeah.
why people cast him and why people like him.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think in this, out of the cast, where is everyone now? And the one that I'm trying to think is Gillian Jacobs. What is she doing now?
I didn't even know I knew who Donald Glover was before I started watching the show. I knew who Joel McHale was. I didn't know he was Hemorrhage on Rick and Morty, but I knew who Joel McHale was.
Yeah,
and I
he's
definitely
been
knew-
on it.
and
Shirley's been on it.
And I knew Shirley from The Office.
Britta
She-
was on it. No, Britta was in BoJack Horseman. Sorry,
I was about to say,
Britta.
I don't know about that.
she wasn't. The Dean, Jim Rash, was in. Rick
Yeah,
and Morty.
I knew who Jim
Yeah.
Rash was. Oh, but we cut Adam off as to why that Jeff's costume is so funny and who actually dressed up.
Yeah, so he was expecting Annie to be the ring girl, and then when she came in as the kind of the psychotic ring girl. But then the funniest thing is that they're like, "Well, let's go help Pierce." He's like, "Absolutely, we're not going to help Pierce." And then in comes the Dean dressed as a ring girl. It's like, Jeff,
Ding,
would you
ding.
like to join me at the party? He's like, "We got to do something first." It just
Dean.
the Dean is awesome. I
The
tell
Dean
you,
is so in
yes.
love with Jeff, it hurts. Like,
The Dean. He could be my neighbor.
Oh,
yeah.
I would love
absolutely.
to have the Dean as a neighbor.
absolutely.
And he did. Wait, is that?
he moved in.
Okay, so
right
that's
next
already
to-
happened
This has
then.
already
Yeah.
happened.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Kind of stalked him.
It's been a while since I've watched it straight through, so I forget where certain things happen.
Well, and this was subtle toward the end too. So Britta has spent the entire evening trying to psychoanalyze Jeff into calling his dad, his estranged dad.
Have we seen him yet?
No,
Not
but that's
yet.
later.
This is where
Jimmy Brolin.
This is
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
the moment where Jeff is going to call his dad for the first time. But Britta actually does a decent job figuring Jeff out and his whole psyche behind his dad. And then did you guys pick up on this? So when Jeff stumbles across a den at Pierce's house, he's like, oh, this is where Pierce keeps the taste. And then when Jeff goes back to his apartment, it looks exactly like that room. And he's drinking whiskey just like he was at Pierce's house. I love their little bits together,
The
Troy and
ending
Abed.
bit, yeah, they're having a lot of fun.
And you know what was really cool was that when they did the table read just earlier this year,
Uh-huh.
because there's always been this thing like, well, Donald Glover's gone off and he's become a big star and all this other stuff. And, is he going to be there for the table read? And is he going to be Donald Glover or is he going to be Troy? Yeah. And he was straight up Troy.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He got back into the saddle so well. It was awesome.
Well, he's just that talented. When you, it's like an old friend that you might live apart, but then when you see each other again, it's like no time has passed.
Yeah.
I think he's that talented.
And he's a local boy too.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's from Atlanta or near Atlanta.
Wait, there's Cloverfield Lane displayed. Isn't that the air conditioning guy right there?
Yeah. There's
John
I'll pop
Goodman.
that up.
Yep.
Yeah. Evil John Goodman.
Other things that people have watched.
Now, please turn away. I'm going through some stuff right now.
All right. So
that was it. That was Community. Oh, and I feel good after watching it.
I know,
was just
right?
A wonderful show.
Yeah.
crazy.
Makes me happy.
And I think that's, because Halloween specials are supposed to be, you're not supposed to be like scared, even though the Quantum Leap one that we're going to do scared me as a kid.
Depending on the show, but
yeah, but it is actually kind of unusual that, because we are going to be doing a drama that had a Halloween episode. They usually don't. Usually dramas don't do Halloween episodes. It's the domain of comedy.
Yeah, it is comedy.
I mean, Modern Family has had some of the best Halloween episodes, like year on year. They did great Halloween episodes.
I'm gonna have to get into that show eventually after all the other assignments you guys have given me.
Yeah, I would definitely give it a watch. Okay. It's worth it. And the Halloween, because I just love the fact that they do this thing where the characters are just super into Halloween. They're just very into Halloween. So they go all the way to the max with it. But we are going to move from Community now to a different show.
Yes.
And we're going to take a little break.
I was about to say, are we breaking?
Yeah, we're going to take because I've got to pull the episode up for us to watch it. So.
That makes sense.
So we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with an episode of
Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Bob's Burgers.
So
all right.
We'll be back in about 1 second. And
we're back.
We're back. And we're going to be moving on to an episode of Falcon Crest.
No. But wait, keep your eyes open here before we announce, because there's a little flicker, and I stopped it and sent a picture to you. Ready? Poof, it was there.
Yeah, it's so, and it has a scream too, little scream.
Yeah.
Well, and we missed the storefront and the exterminator, which are two rotating things in every single episode. And so we're doing Bob's Burgers. It's an episode called Fortnite, and it is a Halloween episode.
Is he Devo? What is that?
Devo.
Yeah.
Aziz Ansari's character, Daryl, is dressed like Devo.
It's coming from a place of love.
You can't go trick-or-treating without a
This
costume.
is one of the things about this show that I love, particularly a Halloween episode, because Halloween episodes give creative comedic writers the opportunity to just put in little things. Yeah, exactly. Like you can have people dressed in, costumes. You can have, how many characters do you have? That's how many gags we can have.
Make sure it fits their character to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But, well, it's just like in the beginning, the storefront was called Johnny Razor's Totally Normal Candy Store. And the exterminator was called Forget About It Exterminators.
Do you guys remember that when you were kids? The razor blade scare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a scare
apples.
almost every year
In
still.
apples.
It's like it never happened.
No, never
happened.
It was all
yeah.
And like fish hooks in the swing sets and stuff.
Or they would the candy bars. They would slide a razor blade in the candy bar.
Or put LSD.
No one
in
ever did
or
it.
Something. Yeah.
But somebody gave someone an idea. It will happen because they gave someone an idea.
Yeah.
Some crazy guy went, "Oh, I know." But anyway.
So
Robert's Burgers.
Robert's Burgers. Yeah, so this was my pick, Hindsighters, and the synopsis of this particular episode is the kids' Halloween adventure goes awry when Louise's friend Millie takes them hostage after Dennis, a truck driver.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection.
What?
Friend.
Part of it's from Google. I had to fill in the rest.
See,
the
Google,
word friend.
Get your shit together.
Even Millie
Google.
calls herself Louise's friend.
Well, because she's crazy.
Well, they become friends eventually.
Yeah, later on.
Spoilers.
Later on.
Anyway, so after
we've all
Millie
had stalkers.
Yeah.
I hate you guys. After Millie takes them hostage, when Dennis, a truck driver, accidentally traps the kids in their alley fort cardboard box by parking his truck next to it and pinning them in. Meanwhile, Bob and Linda struggle to complete the kids' dragon costume in time for trick-or-treating.
Yeah, and before we get into this episode, if anybody... It's a dragon.
If anybody hates Bob Burgers quotes.
If anyone has any problems with the logic of this episode, just go ahead and leave now.
Just let it
go. We understand it's cardboard. You can just get out.
We get it.
We get that.
It makes no
fun
physical sense.
and it's funny.
And yeah.
And if as a person
it's a
who
multi-story cardboard house. So,
Yes,
yeah, and
yeah.
I want a fort like that.
totally,
That seems,
I want
that
one right
seems-
now.
I know.
Yeah, I'm as a grown man,
Feel
I
like your
want
man
that.
cave.
Yes,
The man cave.
but as a bitter husk of a man, even I can just let it go and enjoy myself. So
There you go.
you need to do the same
You
thing.
got to
Jason can do
suspend
it.
disbelief sometimes
Exactly.
with shows like this. But I watched Archer first, and so when I started watching Bob's Burgers, you close your eyes and listen to Bob, and open your eyes, and you're like,
Now, see, I think that's one of the
is-
things I love about H. John Benjamin is, to me, Archer sounds totally different
really?
from Bob.
The
Okay.
arrogance, it's the level of confidence in his voice
Yeah.
when he's each individual
Yeah.
character, because he's so defeatist when he's Bob.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
I
head.
know-
It's what is it? It's head voice versus there's like a singing.
voice.
Yeah, chest
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah, because his voice sounds almost a little bit deeper to me when he's Archer, because he's
Yeah.
got the chest voice instead of the head voice. So yeah, I
And-
know what you're saying.
And his character on Family Guy is also totally different.
It's so slacker. Like,
Yeah.
it's sad that
Yeah.
are we Abed? Is that why we can
Yes.
hear these things?
It's-
Is
Yeah.
that what the problem is?
I was on the phone with somebody the other day. I walked into the gas station, and I go to this Quick Trip a lot, and I bought a different type of beer than I normally buy. And
wait.
well, yeah, they don't sell it there. and the person, I'm on the phone, and the person checking me out, asked for my card or whatever, and I do it, and she says something to me like, "Oh, well, that's different," because it was a different kind of beer.
I know I make fun of you two all the time because you never change your beer.
well,
help
and
it.
and
Variant.
I
We never
didn't-
vary.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say. And I was on the phone with LJ actually, and he was like, "What happened?" I was like, "Well, somebody spoke to me, and my autism flared up." and I had kind of an episode. I'm like, I don't know. Yes, it's different. Is that bad? I'll put it back.
Yeah, when she puts the spotlight on you, you're just kind of like the John Mulaney. When you're 12 and you don't want anybody to look at you or you're going to kill yourself. Yeah.
Is this a social cue that I'm supposed to recognize?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know.
Critiquing me? I don't understand.
You're a
But
bad person. You're a bad person.
you're bad at being a person.
So Bob's Burgers.
Yes, Bob's Burgers. So the kids have this kick-ass alley fort, and
Yes.
their parents are struggling to make the dragon costume, like I said, and they're going with Andy and Ollie. And the whole scheme of it is that
And
they're going to
Daryl
be
on the treasure trail.
yeah, it's.
The
It
treasure
sounded
trail.
so dirty. It's like how Ernest,
is dirty.
Ernest but how Ernest calls his dog Rimshot, and it sounds even dirtier.
Well, you know what a treasure trail is.
yes,
right?
I know what
Okay.
it is, but it sounds even dirtier when it's not a dirty.
I can
word.
draw it. I've got a whiteboard.
Oh my God, get out of here. But yeah, and the guy who made the treasure trail, which is a treasure map of all the ideal places to stop for candy in their town, his name is Candy Randy.
Oh, no.
And he runs a blog. It took, because Daryl has spent like the better part of the year mapping out the town to find, like, to avoid all the places that serve like apples and hand sanitizer and toothbrushes and stuff. And he's found all the good places. And he's like, so it took message boards, mailing
I don't know. I'm
lists.
Fruithead lady.
Yeah, he dresses up like a Copacabana
Yeah.
type lady or Chiquita Banana. Except with-
Crap. What was her name?
No,
Damn it,
but
this
she
is
looks
gonna
like
drive-
Chiquita Banana.
No,
but with multiple
No,
fruits
the
on her head.
actress
It's
who
just
did
gonna
it.
Oh, I
drive
know.
me.
It'll
nuts
come
now.
come
Yeah.
before the end.
We'll think about it. But yeah, so the kids are now trapped in their cardboard fort with a truck platform on top of it.
But
so
now look, there's wood components in this. Are you sure it's not made of wood? Take a look.
Maybe they're.
I think it's reinforced with some like cheap beams,
Oh, okay.
so that they can have a second
Carmen
story.
Miranda.
Carmen Miranda.
Yeah, I knew
Thank
it would
you.
come. Yeah,
Nice.
she did the Chiquita Banana thing.
There you go.
And they have the TV that is it real
Yes.
TV?
No,
Oh,
none of it's
cardboard
real.
TV.
No.
They all create
They
their
drew
own
on
little special
chandeliers
space.
and stuff.
I
But-
love it whenever Gene is spray painting the dragon.
He just passes out. But there's some really quotable lines in this episode too. But the problem with Millie is that not only is she psychotic, she's dressed up like a little pink bunny, and Louise always has her bunny ears on. That's Louise's signature thing. But Millie's like, "We can be Dust Bunny this year. You be Dust and I'll be Bunny." And Louise is like, "Are you kidding me? I'm always Bunny." No. And then Millie tries to play with them in their fort. And Louise is just getting closer and closer to snapping on Millie because Millie's just annoying the hell out of her. And I love the part where Louise is like, "Oh, you can't come in right now. The fire marshal is on our ass. Sorry. All right, Millie. Bye, babe." Like, and she's so
That
Hollywood
look on
bitchy with
Millie's
her.
face.
Yes. Well, yeah, if you can do subtitles, because I think she just lit into her right there and telling her that, "How would I ever like you?"
Yeah, you're a freaking psycho. Like, she's just being hateful.
know.
She just finally. Well, I mean, that would drive me
Louise,
crazy
maybe
too.
you shouldn't.
And then and then the brother tries to come in and like, "Oh, you look great."
Have you been working out?
Does it make a sound?
If dust hits the ground and
No one's around to hear it. Does it make a sound?
no, it doesn't.
But Millie decides that since she's been excluded and Louise doesn't like her after all, that she's going to not only not go for help to find grown-ups to get the kids out of this perilous situation, she's going to like torment them.
Yes.
And it's Halloween, so all the kids are excited. And it's the Tina, the oldest sister, it's supposed to be her last self-inflicted Halloween because she's when you
If
go from
only I'd
tween to
known that
teen, you
last
got to be
year.
done with Halloween.
If only I'd known that last year was my last Halloween,
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed it more.
I
And I would have
also
told
did
my-
a tale.
Yeah, the parents are struggling at their restaurant, and they even enlist Teddy and Mort into helping them with their kids' costumes.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you were going to, I know your answer already. If you could be real life friends with one character on Bob's Burgers,
Oh man,
I already know who yours is. I know that. Mine's
I
Teddy.
know who yours is.
Mine's
yeah.
Teddy. I love Teddy.
So I guess this is really just a question for Mr.
Yeah.
Brown because
Oh
I
my
would be
gosh.
Linda's
Of course.
best friend.
That's a tough question.
I'd be her ginger.
Oh my God, you and Linda would be such a good.
The raccoon talk would never stop.
Oh no shit.
He's trash mouth. He's gay.
He's gay.
They just
I,
got married.
I love Bob. I would just be buddies with Bob.
I know. Don't you wish you want?
I would sit and I'd get burgers there
Yeah.
every
The three of us
day.
would still
And
always
I'm a
hang out
vegetarian.
Because
Wait,
Teddy's
are
always,
you?
And there was a silence. A silence.
No, I knew this.
Yes.
You knew this?
Yeah.
You didn't bring this to my attention?
Was I supposed to?
Okay. All right.
Hey, it's the man's private
I'm-
business.
yeah.
So he decides to share it.
Well, no. I'll tell you.
I'm kidding.
The world.
I have broken down lately, and I'm eating bacon and chicken.
Yeah, I made fun of him the other day for that because I was like,
Just not red meat.
what?
Well,
But once in a while. I'll
well,
eat
you
red
know, the
meat.
Catholic Church actually said for a while there that birds were fish, so you could eat them on Friday.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
They found a
So,
nice little loophole.
Yeah,
to
that's
They created one.
That's a great loophole.
But, oh, and I have to say, this is a very strong Andy and Ollie episode, which
Yes.
for those of you who don't know, I know everybody in the room does. In case you weren't aware, Andy and Ollie are voiced by the Silverman sisters. So Sarah and her sister, I always forget her sister's name. Sorry, other sister.
Like Catherine or something.
Laura Silverman.
Laura. That's close.
You were close.
It's almost the same thing.
But Adam,
It's like one letter off.
I already discussed this with Jason, so don't spoil it. Which one is Andy and which one is Ollie?
Oh, well, I recognized their voices when I heard them.
No. I mean the actual characters. Which one is Andy? and
Andy's
which
got
one's
the blue. Ollie's got the mustard.
Look at this man.
I'll be
Wow.
goddamned.
Well done. Because there's only one
Hat
time.
off.
Yes.
Game recognized.
Yeah, well, Andy and blue, they go together.
That's nice.
I love her. I love
Filth.
Phil.
Enid, the clerk or the
Yeah.
owner of the craft store, and her husband.
Bob Fosse.
Bob Fosse didn't need more than one bag of sequins.
Bob Fosse.
Well, because meanwhile, Bob and Linda are like fighting with each other, and they have kind of it's a cute subplot that they've got going on, trying to make the costume.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Because they both make a tail, and Linda's like, I was making the tail, and he goes, no, I remember, because I remember thinking you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, one of the cutest things. My son loves Bob's Burgers. Loves it.
Of course he does.
And
What's his favorite thing to say on his birthday, Jason?
beef curtain. I'll ask him that tonight.
Oh my god!
It's coming up in February.
I was
so.
about to say it's getting close.
No, but it's like we both have the same thing. Then when we watch the show, we really like. There's one episode that we refuse to watch, and that's the one where, his friend, who is played by Cyril Figgis, and his name is.
It'll come to me.
It's killing me.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
He's rich now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was
the
my
episode
grandfather's watch.
yeah,
That
and
guy.
it's we want Bob to do well. It's
Yeah.
like you feel like I just want Bob to win the lottery. You know, he's
Oh, what is his friend's name? I'm gonna have to look it up. That's gonna drive me insane. Would so and so give up? So and so, we used to smoke cigarettes by the zebras. I know exactly who you're talking about. But anyway, while we think about it, don't cheat.
all right. No, I can't. My phone's a camera.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing
this is
you
a
can
really-
do.
Yeah.
It's a really strong Andy and Ollie episode. And they give them just the right amount of spurt of activity because they say the craziest shit.
Warren
to each other.
Fitzgerald.
Warren Fitzgerald. Yep. You nailed it. Warren Fitzgerald. Turn back. No,
Played
Dad.
by Mr. Peabody.
Cyril Figgis.
And also Cyril Figgis.
But
Cyril
And also Jerry.
Figgis.
yes,
Yeah.
he's all over the place.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's on Family Guy.
Yes. So this is one of the best lines that happens is the kids do discover a way out and they're whispering to each other and they've got a plan to escape. And Louise looks at Andy and Ollie and she's like, okay, which one of you was born first? All right, then Ollie, squeeze into the dumpster, burrow through the trash, jump out and run for help, just like you did when you came out of your mom. And then Andy's like, what does she mean? What came out of my mom?
I know, that was funny.
This is where our dad goes to take his naps.
Which you never see their mom.
No.
They've mentioned her.
No,
on
she's been
occasion.
mentioned, yeah, but you never see her. No.
But so now we figured out that there's a rat in the fort because Millie
Yes.
should not have been able to.
Snitches.
Snitches. You're never too young to
Snitches
learn about
gets-
our national no snitching policy.
That's right.
But Millie thwarts their dumpster plan. Ollie gets to the top and then she slams the little hatch on him. And so we've discovered that
Why are you
Daryl
wearing your
is the
backpack?
pantsless rat because he takes his pants off and Louise is like, yeah, that's not necessary. He said, you have no idea how necessary it is.
Chris Parnell.
Yeah,
Jesus,
Chris
that was
Parnell.
going to kill me.
Oh, I didn't realize you were asking me for
No,
his
I was,
name,
I was
or else
trying
I
to
would have
think.
told you.
Oh, no, I'm glad.
That
no,
one I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got Daryl who turns out to be
I'm
the rat.
weak. Also, I need to poo soon.
And this, I think, is the ultimate line that males can at least relate to because later he's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's hard for me to think when my pants are off.
True.
So
That is, yeah.
Very true.
I don't even
yeah.
have to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, they already agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's just a matter of Millie saying she's definitely leaving them there for the night because she's going to go get candy.
Oh,
can,
yeah.
Can we talk just a moment about Kristen Shaw and how
yes.
awesome she is?
We've done it before, but we can do it
Yeah,
again.
but now we
since
have a
we're-
reason to
Yeah,
because
we've
she's
got-
actually in
it's
something
actually
that
in
we're talking
context,
about. Yeah. First saw her in Flight of the Conchords as Mel.
Yep.
And fell in love with her. And it's every single thing she has ever done since then has been absolutely great.
Mhm.
What was the show? Last Man on Earth?
Yeah, with not Will Arnett,
Will Ford.
Will Ford.
Will Forte?
Forte.
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 Sorry.
Will Forte.
Does it have an accent mark?
No,
I think
but
it
that's how
does.
to
Then it's
pronounce
Fort.
it. Will Forte's been on here too. He
No, no,
was,
yeah.
He's the aviator.
Yeah. You mulin? You mulin?
Anyway, well, I've seen memes about this episode in particular because later what happens is the kids are trapped and so their parents are really frustrated with them because they worked all day on their costume. And so they decide to take their children's costume and go trick-or-treating with it because they're like, screw those jerk kids. Like, let's
We
go.
worked so hard on it, which I love. They're hoping to be anonymous, right? And then the first place they go, isn't it you're Bob at the burger place? It's like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
It's a dragon.
It's a
But they do, to their credit, go looking for their kids at first, and that causes a rift between Bob and Linda because
Yeah.
Bob is like, oh, I bet they're at that fort that they built. And Linda's like, oh, that fort. Oh, forget that fort. And he's like, oh, it's pretty cool, though, once you get inside. She's like, oh, you've been allowed inside? Like, and she's all mad. And she's like, you know, she doesn't even want to take the
They were in
costume.
my
She doesn't-
fort first.
for a
That's
long
right. They're
time.
in my fort for 9 months.
The original fort.
Bobby.
Which don't you just love any time on the show where they show a flashback and they show the kids as babies?
Mama.
I mean, like Tina.
no.
Tina is so cute.
Tina's gnawing on the
yeah,
couch.
she's,
And Louise will only say, Dad, Dad.
yeah, Mama.
Well, then change your own diaper. Louise and Linda have that rift, but
But it's okay because she's got Gene.
yeah,
And Gene, and,
Jean's
Gene
so
and
low.
Linda are,
They're tight. Yeah,
like on the recent episode with the butt worms.
Mom and I go shopping together. We have no secrets. But Daryl does come up with a pretty ingenious plan to kind of redeem himself. He
No, I had a
discovers-
feeling I knew which direction it was
Yeah,
was going to go. He's going to push the wrong button.
It's pronounced Daryl.
Daryl.
Darryl. Or he's got it's a shorter version on his backpack, I want to say. But yeah, the kids get a hanger and they push the button on the truck to lift up the little platform, and nope, it starts to crush them.
I know.
They're in pretty dire straits in
Yeah.
this episode.
Yeah.
Because at that part, that could kill them.
Yeah, that's-
that could actually kill them.
Especially with how small they all are. Tina's the biggest one, and she's only
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
It would have squished him.
Yeah. And she doesn't have her super glasses on, so
And
she
this
has
is-
no superpowers.
well, this
I hear-
is the closest Linda ever gets to predicting because when the kids aren't home until late, she's like, "Oh, they're dead, Bobby. I know it." And he's like, "Linda, they're not dead." Like she's like, "No, I know it. They're dead." But yeah, they're at the neighbor's house in their terrible dragon costume. It's just a sheet with tape and cardboard.
You know what?
box on
That's
it.
what we should do for Comic Con or whatever.
You really want to be in a shared costume for all of Dragon Con together?
Well, no, you could do two costumes because you could have your actual costume, but you could also just when you feel like
when
it,
you're walking around.
throw that, you know,
when
on
we're
and
walking
do
through the street, so
Yeah.
that way we occupy more.
Yeah.
We can
I'm
do
a
the parade with
dragon.
that.
Yeah.
I'm a dragon.
I'm a dragon.
That'd be awesome.
It's Bob from the burger place.
No, I'm 9. And because at first they're rude. He's like, that's a terrible costume. It doesn't look like any costume of a dragon I've ever seen. And he's like,
China would be really angry.
oh yeah, well your rug mat, the doormat is stupid. But I have seen memes about this where at the end, Bob and Linda actually make out pretty well and they get a lot of candy. And they're sitting on the couch just eating it, not looking for their kids
Yeah.
or anything. And somebody was like, Bob and Linda.
Well, because Millie told them.
They were trick-or-treating,
Millie
yeah.
said they're fine. They're trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She misled them.
Right. So they had a reason to believe they were fine.
That's true.
Yeah.
But then they want to spite their children by not sharing the candy that they got because their kids got nothing. But the kids never explain what happened either. Because Tina's like, oh, it's a long story. And Jean goes, nah, I could tell it pretty fast. But I've seen this meme with Bob and Linda munching on the candy on the couch. And somebody's like, that's couple goals right there.
Mm-hmm.
Stealing your kid's costume to get candy on Halloween.
Little hard dad.
No, don't say that. But the kids, and this is another great Andy and Ollie, because Andy and Ollie have 2 close calls where at first they think that Millie's putting real spiders into the box. And
Yeah.
it's just those little like fake plastic ones. And Andy is like, oh, I thought I was a goner. And Ollie's like, yeah, I felt you die.
Oh.
I didn't want my last words to be whatever the other. Oh, I can't remember what he said.
But it was sort of poignant because they're
Because
looking-
that door in the fort has a window.
yeah, it has a little one. He's like, I'll be with you every time you look in the mirror. Huh? Because we look alike. Like
Robot beanhead.
And then when the truck crushes them, Ollie loses his shoe. Andy throws his too, and he's like, "Now our shoes will be together." Like
Yes.
they love each other so
They
much.
do.
It's
They
really
do.
sweet.
I know how everyone's gonna die.
But the poor kids, they get absolutely.
Oh.
They're trapped on Halloween.
I love Linda.
Linda's my. See why
Look,
she's my
I know
favorite.
she's wonderful.
She's and Bob is just so sour with her all the time. They balance each other out though.
The episode that I think if you're, because when you really like a show, you sort of need to think in terms of if I'm going to get somebody to watch one episode to get them hooked, what episode is it?
Yeah.
And the one that I have found for anyone who is a woman that gets them hooked on this show is Linda's birthday.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's a fantastic episode.
Where she
And
loses her key or locks the keys in the car,
Yes,
tears
like,
her pants
yeah.
open, and like has to walk home, and yeah. And she's like, I want to do this every year. She gets sprayed by a skunk twice. Yeah, you're right about that because my friend Shay, she's like, I think that's hands down my favorite episode. So I think you're right about that, Jason. But this
But
one's
all's
one of my
well that
favorites.
ends well
Yes.
here
Yeah,
because
'cause the
Millie
kids get
gets
their
her
revenge.
comeuppance.
I'm going to need a therapist. Oh my God, I hope I like my therapist.
You totally won't. And then,
You killed us, you psycho.
and I love how the kids like don't bother to put on a character. They don't have to because
No.
they're playing
They're
themselves. but
ghosts of
they-
themselves.
But they do
yeah.
such a great job of it because Jean is just like, hey, give me some candy.
You nutcase.
Meanwhile,
then-
Tina's like, thanks for killing us. Heaven's nice. Bye. But Millie's having a breakdown because she seriously thinks she's responsible for killing the Belcher children.
Yeah, and Millie's only been in like 3. She was in this one, the election episode,
And then there's the one where she has.
the Silence of the Lambs episode.
Are you talking about the ones where Mr. Frond,
Where
his
the-
dolls come
Yeah.
unraveled?
Yeah.
Where she and Louise actually make friends.
Yeah,
Yeah. So spoiler alert.
You have hard candy.
Because she got the
Yeah.
headgear. And she's like, hey, mister, that's a nice car.
I was wondering if you'd remember that. Yes, I bought my portrait
I'll
just
never
for that
forget
moment.
that. Never forget that.
I want to impress the girls, the 14-year-old ones with the headgear on.
Bouncing a ball on the street.
That's a nice car.
But Millie does turn into that person later, so maybe that's who Millie grew up to be.
Yes. You're wearing a Scooby-Doo outfit right now. it's
I've come a long way,
probably
baby.
not.
It would
for
only
me.
be better if you drove here in the Porsche in the Scooby-Doo costume.
Imagine what the 14-year-old girls would say then.
Ooh.
You'd be all like Hunter Biden. Topical. Moving on.
So that was my episode, Hindsighters, and I hope you enjoyed it.
It was great.
God, I love some
It's
Bob's
like
Burgers.
every episode of Bob. I don't think I've seen an episode of this show that was not funny.
See, if I was trying to get a guy to watch Bob's Burgers, I wonder which episode I would recommend because I've never thought about it that way.
The one
Because I know you really like the one with the shark, the animatronic
Love it.
shark. I know that's one of your favorites.
Yeah, the 3 Deepening is probably my favorite episode of Bob's Burgers.
Hey, yo. I'm going to break into that restaurant.
I'm going to eat that hairy little leg.
Do you finally have some context to go with that voice?
Yes, I watched that. Yes. It was very funny.
Oh, no. Num, 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 num.
Never was there a tale of more, oh no. That of Juliet and her
We should have
Romeo.
done that. If only we had known that was our last night doing Shakespeare.
If only we had known that was our last night.
I would have
We'll
told
always
myself to
have
enjoy
Paris.
it more and not get into this box fort.
So that was the Bob's Burgers, one of their, and they've got what 4 or 5 Halloween episodes,
Something like that.
because they didn't do one every year.
I was about to say they didn't start out doing those because the Thanksgiving episodes I think don't even start till the 2nd season.
Yeah, and
You're a quirky turkey.
that song,
It's magnificent.
that's one of the best Broadway songs I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The closing credits song of that episode. Did they do the cult or the haunted house episode where Louise wanted to be scared?
That's
was
like season 4 or 5.
okay. Yeah. So
That's later down the road.
so it was a little bit into the show before they started doing
Yeah, it
Halloween
took them a while to
episodes.
start doing specific
Halloween
episodes for-
specials,
Yeah.
which we were discussing on our Halloween special.
Yep.
That's why we named it that.
Ooh, maybe for Thanksgiving we can do the running of the turkeys.
It's a double special.
Yes. Just do Bob's Burgers turkey episodes. We could do that for Thanksgiving.
There are enough episodes of it.
Or WKRP in Cincinnati. That is the best Thanksgiving. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah.
No, but I just ran with the vibe of the room.
I think
Yes.
we've actually talked about that once.
You have. It's
When
just
he was letting the turkeys go
Out of the helicopter.
out of a helicopter.
And they're falling. They're all
you have
falling to
told
their
me about
death.
it.
You know?
Oh, the humanity.
oh no.
That was a great show. That was a fantastic show. But what was also a fantastic show from the long ago, although not quite as long ago.
No,
Let's
not
say
that
I'm
long.
from the 80s,
We're
so
going to
it's
go
not that
back
long
now.
ago.
We're going to take a quick break and we're going to go back way back in time, 30 years.
We're gonna quantum leap.
We're gonna leap.
30
Yes,
years
we're going to
back.
leap back.
We're leapers.
Yes. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about an episode that scared the crap out of me when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, this one's gonna be more serious. So buckle up, hindsighters.
Yes, get
It's
ready.
It's not really going to be serious. Yeah. Also, it's Stephen King. We'll be back in 1 second. And we're back. And we're watching Scott Bakula in a onesie. We are making a little change. This is not a comedy now. It's a
Gear shift.
it's a family drama.
Yes.
Although it does have a lot of funny moments in it. But it also has a lot of serious moments in the show. In this one in particular, we are watching an episode of Quantum Leap from the year 1990, which for those of you who are very young, 1990 was a year in the 90s.
I don't believe Darby was born yet.
The
I don't know.
90th year in the
He's not 30.
1900s.
Yeah, he's not,
No,
yeah, he's
that's
not
what I'm-
30.
I'm
Yeah. No.
I'm telling you.
Well, God, we're watching an episode that predates one of our.
Yes.
Well, the original It predated him as well.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I want to say I was alive. Don't worry.
Okay, we
I was
were all
around.
Everyone who counts here
Yes.
was alive.
Aw.
Let's go back. Let's go back to October of 1990, and there's a young person by the name of Jason whose parents have gone out to do whatever it is parents did. I assume they were always going to like Home Depot. I don't know
Nice
what
little Sunday.
I don't know what my parents were doing. It was Wednesday night at
I know.
9 p.m.
It's a joke from Instagram. Don't worry about it.
Because when I was that age, Wednesday prime time was the best. You
It
got
was the
Quantum Leap was the anchor, but you had Unsolved Mysteries, and then there was a two.
And you remember it vividly, don't you?
It was,
That's
it was the best.
amazing.
It was the best.
Yeah.
Unsolved Mysteries was at 7:00, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Because I grew up in the Central Time Zone.
I've heard him do this before. So
And then it was usually like Night Court and then something else. They always kind of rotated.
Green Acres.
Yeah. No, I watched that on Nick at Night afterwards.
I did. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Well, except I didn't. I hated Green Acres.
Really?
Yeah, I was not a fan.
Oh. It's very weird.
I like Dick Van Dyke though,
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke
and I
was
sat
great.
through Green
At
Acres.
least you
to
finished
get
that
to
sentence
Dick
with
Van
Van
Yeah,
Dyke. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
You would have liked it. Better.
Penis Van Lesbian. That was before the family changed the
penis
name
macho.
after they moved to the United States.
Anyhow,
So it was 1990. My parents were off doing something that old people did.
They're weekly rolling the hay, perhaps at a local hotel.
No, they did that. They would send me off to one side of the house when they wanted to do that. Yeah. But so I'm by myself. I'm 10 years old. It's around Halloween. It is literally a dark and stormy night. So it's creepy to begin with. And then I watched this episode of my favorite show, Quantum Leap, and it scares the shit out of me.
I can imagine.
Particularly the ending of this episode, because this was the Quantum Leap Halloween episode. I don't think they ever did in the 6 seasons.
It wasn't a regular.
I don't think they did any other Halloween
seasonal
episodes.
Thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think this was the only one. Starring, of course, the great
Scott Bakula.
and the great Admiral Dean Stockwell.
Yes.
I love that his character, you have to go like, I think 3 seasons before they reveal that he's an admiral. Because he's just cool, you know?
Well, they do make a Navy reference here, and he's like, Army, Navy kind of thing. He was.
And
he was a Navy man on shore leave, and he got a bad tattoo. Oh, man. We'll get to it.
Yeah, a man on shore leave.
Just call me shore leave.
Yeah.
But Dean Stockwell, he like came out of the chute acting. I mean, he was a child actor, you know, like in the single digits up until the very end. He was in
so many diverse things.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in Dune.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, he was around, and he died. He's been dead for a while now.
I think so.
Scott Bakula, of course, still with us.
Yeah.
Still going strong, too. He's got something in the works now, I think. I don't think he's not retired.
I'd have to look it up.
I will definitely say that I would love to watch a Scott Bakula TV series. Well, he was on NCIS, Los Angeles.
For a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
and he
For
did the
whatever
Star
reason,
Trek
he was
thing.
never on my radar.
He did Enterprise.
Captain of Enterprise, which was a show that I did not like at the time, but given how crappy Star Trek is now, I kind of want to go back and watch it. It's probably better. And of course,
Shots fired.
The star of the show, though, Mike Post, who gave us the Quantum Leap theme, and it's one of the best things about the show.
Even though it's 40 minutes long.
It is. It's very long.
It's a very long
and look,
intro.
and children, you couldn't skip intros when I was a kid.
Yeah, and if you messed up and changed the channel during the commercial,
You lost it.
and then you'll never know when he left.
You know where he left. That kid, Stephen King.
Damn it, Jason.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
Stevie. Well, I mean, to be fair, hindsighters, and let's give the synopsis before we give up that. Spoiler alert. So it's Halloween, 1964, and Sam.
It's Halloween. It's Halloween.
And Sam leaps into the body of a second-rate horror novelist who bears witness to a series of bizarre accidents. He is soon struggling to prevent a similar fate befalling himself.
Well, this was a show that had a pretty rigid kind of, not formula, not like a story formula, but there were rules in the Quantum Leap universe.
Yeah, it's Doctor Who-esque in the sense that he's got to follow certain parameters on his leaps or on his trips rather.
Yeah,
He's there for a reason.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of things that happen. Now, we should explain for those of you who are young and have never seen Quantum Leap before. This is actually kind of a complicated thing. They even made fun of this. There were commercials where Scott Bakula tried to explain the concept of the show and couldn't really do it.
Is it that hard to understand? I mean, they explain it. That's why the intro is so long.
The jokes were always, okay, so Scott Bakula plays Dr. Sam Beckett,
Right.
a brilliant physicist who invents a method of time travel called quantum leaping,
Yes.
which has nothing to do with the actual physics concept of quantum leap. But it makes a great title for a show. So there you go. He leaps, and by that I mean he's
kind of projected into different times.
Well, he actually switches bodies.
Yeah.
Because they actually show in a couple of the episodes, they actually do show the person he leapt into leaps into the future and is in the body of Sam Beckett. And
there's swap roles. Okay,
they
now
actually
that I didn't
do.
know.
No, they do. And they actually typically have to sort of explain to them okay, here's what's going on.
Okay.
Don't panic.
Yeah, don't panic. When you go back, don't say anything to anyone.
Right.
And they kind of fudge over that with the Swiss cheese brain that they always refer to, because Sam Beckett doesn't remember things after he leaps. Like he 3 seasons, 4 seasons, and he remembers he's married.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so Scott Bakula's character leaps throughout time, putting things right that once went wrong.
Okay.
There's your show.
All right.
And that is the most brilliant idea. There it is. You know,
But he has a holographic friend.
yes, he has one companion, Al.
Al.
I love that his name is Al.
I know, it's Al.
Of all things.
Yeah. Al, and Al has access to a supercomputer named
Ziggy.
Ziggy.
Ziggy, right.
And Ziggy is run by a guy named,
Alf.
nope, Gushy.
Oh, Gushy.
Gushy.
I didn't catch
Gushy.
that part.
With,
This is
ha-
the only episode
yes.
of Quantum Leap
Yeah.
I've ever
Oh yeah,
watched.
Gushy
so
has
I don't
bad
know.
breath. That's Gushy's whole character is he has bad breath. And he runs Ziggy. Ziggy is the computer that just sort of tells him things. And Ziggy is a plot point in every episode. He leaps in, Al shows up and says, okay, Ziggy says that you're this person and you're here to stop this from happening. And if you do that, you'll leap on and hopefully you'll leap home.
And it's usually more straightforward whenever Sam goes on his adventures,
Yeah.
right? But in
Yeah.
this particular leap,
This flips everything over.
yes, it does. It turns everything on its head.
Yeah. In particular, somebody dies and
A couple of people died.
Well, when the first one dies, Sam is like, well, why didn't Ziggy know this person was going to die?
Because isn't that the person I was supposed to save and
yeah.
then I would have leapt already?
Exactly. But as it turns out, in this episode, Al isn't Al.
There's more of a
No.
twist than the Stephen King story, and that's not even the big twist, really. It's just because
They did that a lot.
well, Stevie is hanging around. Yeah, I mean, it's very Forrest Gump in the sense that, you know, he runs into these historical figures that he knows later on that he's heard of or that he's read about, whatever. But
I mean,
Stevie's
in one episode, he runs into, oh crap, who wrote Peggy Sue? Peggy Sue, the song.
You're talking about
remember.
he died in a plane crash.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. I just
Christ.
can't
Bye
remember
Bye
his
Miss
name.
American Pie.
No, different guy.
Oh, was it? You
That was
sure?
Don McLean.
No, but Don McLean wrote that song about the plane crash.
Oh, right. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But when he meets, like, there's an episode where there's this kid playing his guitar and he's writing a song about his pig called Piggy Suey.
Oh, no.
And Sam says, why don't you try Peggy Sue? You know? So they did that a lot where he would run in.
Something in the Crickets, too. I know that the singers, it was
Like, who wrote it?
Yeah.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly and the Crickets, yes.
Fuck.
Yes.
But before we skip past it, so yeah, there's this little kid that hangs around Josh Ray's house, and he keeps saying stuff like, "Oh, that's a really good idea for a story," and blah blah blah.
I'm going to go do some cocaine now.
And his name is Stevie, and he's like, "One of these days, I'm going to write the scariest book that's ever happened." And in the beginning, I was just like, "Oh, okay, it's Stephen King." And there are clues throughout the episode that lead to that conclusion. But yeah.
And the most menacing sheriff in film history.
Seriously.
Yeah.
This guy's scary as shit.
He is. And of course, the co-star in this episode she's been in
The woman.
Yeah.
Oh, been in everything. When
She
I
was in
saw her, I immediately
Seinfeld.
knew who she was.
Papier-mâché.
Yes.
I make papier-mâché hats. Do you have our tax papers?
She's been
no,
on-
I threw them away.
She's been in a ton of stuff.
She was in Desperate Housewives. She was in.
Yeah.
She was in. Did anybody ever see a show called The Powers That Be?
No.
It was a sitcom. It actually
No.
ran for 2 seasons.
Valerie Mahaffey.
Valerie Mahaffey. It was about a senator and his family, and it was weirdly like sort of like Arrested Development before Arrested Development existed.
Huh.
It made it 2 seasons and got canceled. It was the sort of show that if it was around today, it'd be on Netflix for like 5 seasons.
Yeah, but it's a humor.
Now,
probably
Valerie
wasn't-
Mahaffey does not sound familiar. That isn't. It's like a.
She's on quite a few things, so hang on.
She was the crazy woman on like 3 episodes of Wings.
You're not talking about the girlfriend.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the girlfriend.
Oh, who are
but
you
the-
talking
the,
about?
The old lady who got bit by the black mamba.
Oh no.
She is in everything. Everything.
Fran Ryan.
Fran Ryan. Wait till you see Fran Ryan. I mean, she's how many credits does she have? All filmography. Let me just see how many. Yeah, 144 shows.
Can you
that
imagine?
she's been in? Yeah.
Let's see.
I've got my 2, and I got a ways to go to get to 140.
Hey, we got like 30 episodes of this show on IMDb now.
There you go.
In fact, actually, I did that today. I updated.
And technically, he has 3 if you include Much Ado About Nothing.
That's true. Yeah, Much
that's
Ado.
right.
Yes.
See?
Yeah. One of the things about this episode that I find so interesting is that
Matlock. She was on Matlock.
Everyone was on Matlock. You were on Matlock. You just don't remember it.
I just wasn't born yet. I quantum leapt.
Yeah, you quantum left. No, but one of the things that I like about this episode is that there is this sort of rigid, way that things work. Al opens this door. He walks into wherever Sam is, and he's projected as a hologram. Al walks through walls, and
Right.
he has no substance.
And Sam is the only one who can
even
see
though
or hear
he
him.
can somehow walk upstairs. But we'll skip past that.
Right. Another suspend disbelief thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like, I can't
Yet
touch
again.
anything except the floor. But in this episode, they're very good at not really drawing your attention to the fact that he's not doing any of those things.
Right.
He's just showing up.
Yeah.
And he knows things that he's not supposed to know, but it's in a very subtle way.
I picked that up when he was behind Sam at the typewriter, behind the desk, because he just I dreamed of Jeannie straight out of the room, and every other time it was like he was dialing that little device of his to get
Ziggy.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was dialing into Ziggy.
Because he said, yeah, Ziggy sent me on, what's her name? The woman's character. I can't remember her name. But the crux of the episode is that people start dying around Sam, and
Very
he doesn't know,
bizarrely.
and he doesn't know why he's supposed to be there. In every episode, it's pretty cut and dry. This is going to happen, and she's going to get kidnapped.
Right.
So you have to make sure that doesn't happen, or this is going to happen, and this guy will never get the job that he's supposed to have, and won't go on to do these things that we need him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, the whole time, it's like, well, we don't know why you're here. We know that this lady dies, but hey,
She gets choked to death at midnight.
and Al's very serious about saying, hey, maybe she's supposed to get killed.
Yeah, because maybe
Right.
she killed these two people that died, who died bizarrely. So the first guy is
Yeah.
Tully, who's fixing the windows. He's up on a ladder, and a goat comes by, pulls a rag on the bottom rung of the ladder, and Tully falls to his death and breaks his neck on the rocks.
Yeah. And how creepy was that fucking goat?
Yeah.
And I grew up on a farm. I had goats.
Yeah. It was creepy.
Like I had goats, and they were like friends. I had a
Aw.
pet goat named Charlie.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
This goat still creeped me out.
Well, you don't know this goat.
Well, that's true.
Y'all aren't personal
That's
buddies.
true.
No.
That's true.
He's a stranger goat.
We got no history.
Yeah.
Um,
And then there's a black mamba. And why is there a black mamba in the church?
No, this is his
No, it's
Or
house.
his
house.
house, sorry.
Stephen King.
They kept calling it
he-
the church spook house. So,
Because he's supposed to basically just be Stephen King,
yeah.
or
Cut rate
well,
Stephen
he's
King.
supposed to be Lovecraft.
Okay.
He's like a cut rate Lovecraft.
All right.
He's not Stephen King because there aren't mountains of cocaine everywhere.
But Stephen King.
Did Stephen
so
King do
Stevie-
cocaine? Is that what you're
Did
implying?
you know?
I
No,
did
I'm not
know.
implying anything.
Got it. Okay.
But
Scary
so-
stuff, scary stuff, scary stuff, ding. Scary stuff, scary stuff, scary stuff, ding.
Haunted lamp. Ooh.
Scary stuff,
Oh,
scary
man.
stuff, scary
So-
stuff. Lunch.
So was it Stevie who brought the snake into the house? Because it's there for like no reason.
It's Joshua's
Pet.
snake.
But there's no lid on its cage, and then they're suddenly super surprised that it kills somebody in their kitchen. Like it doesn't make it that that kind of bugged me.
Well,
And then when it
That's
goes
actually-
missing, they
that-
don't look for it.
no, that's actually not the part that bugs me the most about this episode.
Do tell.
What struck me, because when I was a kid, it was like, oh man, that was really awesome, and it was scary, and I can't wait for my parents to get home, and this fucking rain to stop. Watching it now, that scene, which the way it progresses, eventually Sam realizes that the Al he's been talking to is not Al.
It's not his
It's not-
Al.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
Admiral Al that is his buddy. It's something else. And it is, in fact, implied that it's the devil.
Yes.
Because the devil's all pissed off that Sam has been putting things right that I put wrong.
Yeah. He works so hard,
and
and
Dean
Sam's
Stockwell-
unwinding it all.
Dean Stockwell does such a good job.
He
with
is
that.
he's
With-
creepy.
He locks his head in one position. His head doesn't move.
And his
It's
eyes are
all
insane.
of his stuff that he, because they had the red light
Yeah.
shining, so he couldn't move his head.
Yeah.
So he just has this very creepy thing where he's.
He's just kind of stock still, except for his mouth moving.
So the devil starts to strangle Sam.
Yes.
And the real Al has shown up by this point.
And he's just as blown away
Yeah.
by this.
And did you notice how short he was?
the devil
I
one or
don't
Al?
think-
When we get to the ending, you'll see it. The real Al, the way they shot it, he looks like a foot shorter
Oh wow.
than the Al who is the devil.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very obvious. And so they get into this fight, and the real Al tells him, if you can touch him, you can hurt him.
Right.
You know, so if this guy's strangling you, that means you can strangle him back. And they start spinning in a circle.
That was creepy.
That was the part that got me. And all of a sudden, the devil is replaced by all the other characters, the people who died, the sheriff, and he's got like blood all over his face. And then the fucking goat.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You know?
All of it. The woman.
Yeah.
He even bleats at him.
But then that just sort of ends.
Yeah, to me, no, like
they don't explain how Sam beat him.
before they, they don't. He just wakes up from. They do Superman syndrome.
It loops back to the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, he wakes up from because the way the episode begins is that Stevie jumps out of a closet at Josh, and Josh falls down the stairs, and it shows him waking up. And it's the exact same thing. He still wakes up, but they're like, "Oh my God, you were out for a few minutes. Are you okay? We thought you were dead."
Yeah,
but don't you think that maybe he just dreamt?
You were supposed. You were definitely supposed to think that. I think, and
then
they
an alternate reality. Kind of thing.
But then they brought it back later on because you had the evil leaper showing up in later episodes.
Oh, okay.
So there is an anti-force.
Yeah, does that look like Christine?
Oh, it is Christine. Yeah, it's totally Christine.
It's Christine. Yeah.
But there was a sense of destiny to it because two things happened. Not only did he save Tully, he also ended up giving Stephen King the idea for Christine.
Yeah.
So two major historical things happened. He saved a life and he created
and that
a
was
famous writer.
That was sort of the neat thing, that it was like the devil's real trick. And I'm saying this watching it again after 30 years and trying to sort of piece it together.
Right.
When Sam wakes up the second time, and it's the real Al is there, because it's very clear. The door opens, Al comes out, he's got his little Tetris thing.
Yeah, we know it's him.
And he says, "You're here to save a guy named Tully."
And Al doesn't know who that is yet because Ziggy hasn't figured it out.
Yeah. And it's like, was the devil's whole thing to do this, to just kill Tully so that Sam couldn't leap it? Because if Sam doesn't fix it, he doesn't
can't leap. Yeah.
He stays in that
be
body
stuck there
forever.
So he's not going to be the devil's problem anymore. So it's like, well, was that his plan? Was it like, I'm going to do this when Tully's about to die and you won't be able to save Tully and you'll be stuck?
Because maybe if you get up from a dream, you're just like, oh, well, Tully's not really going to die. That was a dream. I made that up in my head. So,
right.
But Sam doesn't do that. He leaps up the stairs and he goes to save Tully, and he actually succeeds this time.
Also, and I think we're past it already, but somewhere in this room, they have all kinds of gack, the skull, the candles, all this stuff. The first Emmy that they won is one of the props in the room.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
I thought was kind of sweet.
Yeah.
That's stuff that they used to do.
That's pretty cool.
It is a cool house. I would live there.
Oh, I wouldn't.
I would. I like haunted houses. I would live in a place.
I hate haunted houses. I freak out like Scooby Doo. I like jump up on Shaggy's arms and I freak out. Like I'm just like no. Start chattering my teeth. Nope, I hate it.
And the interesting thing with Quantum Leap too is that it started off and it was a huge hit. It was wildly popular for years, and then it sort of slacked off in the popularity.
Okay. And how long was it on?
I think it was 6 seasons.
Okay.
It was either 5 or 6.
Okay.
And of course, it had a very controversial finale where Sam, the entire series, the goal was hoping that the next leap will be the leap home.
Uh-huh.
And so the expectation is in the last episode, well, he's going to leap home. And he, in fact, did leap home once. And that was the episode where he remembered he was married. Because when he left home one time, he remembered everything.
Okay.
And that was actually the episode where Al switched places with him.
So Al had to leap forever then, or
no. It was there was one episode where, because at the end of every episode of Quantum Leap, they would show him leaping into the next place.
And this one has a funny ending to it. Yeah.
Which is classic 90s. You do a serious one, you kick the tables over.
Something fun, yeah.
You got to finish that with something funny.
Yeah.
But they would always have a teaser where they would show where he was leaping next. And that was always the one where it would be something funny and he would go, oh boy.
Oh boy.
And then credits, Donald P. Belisario.
Right.
Executive producer Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
But
there was one episode where they did the leap thing.
Uh-huh.
And Sam was standing there in like scrubs, and Al was in a military uniform. And he goes to walk to Sam, and there's a cannon in between them, and Al bumps into the cannon, and he can't get past it. And they realize, oh shit, Al has leaped, and he's actually here now. And then the door opens, and Sam turns around and walks back out into the room in the future.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh my God, I'm married.
Oh, wow.
Which is awkward because he shagged like
I was about to say,
so many women.
in the
Lots of
credits
women.
alone.
Yeah.
Well, and you can almost give him an excuse in these scenarios, simply not just because of him forgetting everything, but he's meant to fulfill a certain role. He is that person while he's in that timeline. So and he's going to throw somebody off if he's married to them during that timeline, and they go to kiss him and he doesn't kiss them back.
And they would do that sort of stuff too with the Swiss cheese memory, because like he didn't remember that he was a medical doctor in the very, very first episode, where he leapt into a test pilot who was like a Chuck Yeager kind of test pilot.
Right.
But his wife went into premature labor when he broke the sound barrier over the house.
Oh, okay.
And then he shows up and he all of a sudden remembers all this medical stuff, and he's like, beta sympathomimetics.
Yeah, I was about to say
that will stop her from giving birth.
Yeah, because he throws in a lot of medical jargon in this episode too, where the girl's having a stroke and he knows how to help her. And,
A seizure.
Sorry. Yeah.
I love I love this part right here where the this was so 90s. They go to 966 Salem Street.
Of course.
Salem's Lot.
Well, and
Right,
there's
yeah.
that whole,
And then the 9 flips over.
of course it does.
It's just so.
Does it? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it flips over.
Well, because they make a big thing about the witch who used to live in
Yes.
Josh Ray's
Yes.
house. And so, yeah. It's
Which is
all-
a total misdirect.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
is, because
that has nothing to do with
you're
anything.
meant to think that his fiance is the actual witch and she's possessed or something, maybe by the witch who used to live there. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
and like
then-
in this scene, he sees a bunch of stuff, and Al's like, well, Devil Al is like, oh, see, she's a witch. And
Yeah.
Sam's like, no, she was probably just doing research for Josh.
yeah.
And as it turns out, she was just doing research for Josh.
Yeah, because she is his
Yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
But which is funny to me because he's this like king of macabre sort of deal, and she meanwhile is a deacon at their local church and plays organ for them. So it's like, okay, in the '60s, would that have been terribly acceptable? Like, where were her parents? Like,
Yes.
Maybe in Maine,
maybe. Which, speaking of which,
because they live in like Castle Rock.
what is this accent of hers? It's like she's trying to be Southern yet English at the same time. I could not pinpoint
she
where
was
she was
born
from.
in Indonesia, I think. The actress.
Are you?
Is
No.
that really her voice? Or did she?
She-
Oh, I thought she was putting on an
I
accent.
thought she was putting
No,
it
no,
on,
no,
too.
no. That's her actual accent. She was. I believe that her parents were British
Oh, I see.
public servants,
Interesting.
foreign service types.
That was
I
very
think,
my
but she
dear
would-
friend, Dr. Richard Kimball. I
Yeah.
was like, I can't figure this out. What is this woman trying to do?
Yeah, no, she was. I believe that she was raised. She was probably raised in Indonesia, Britain, America,
Oh, so her accent's just all over the place.
lots of
Okay.
different places.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm Egyptian.
Oh, Highlander. But yeah.
Oh, the most menacing police officer in history. I
Yes,
would
with-
not want to be a black man around this police officer.
Oh my God. Jeez.
No, I wouldn't want to.
No, I understand. I just was not expecting that comment.
And he's always got the fucking matchstick. How
Yes.
bad do you want to just reach up and take that fucking matchstick out of his mouth?
That Eddie Izzard
Stop
joke.
it.
Cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool. Looking like a
Looking
dickhead.
like a dickhead.
But he's had it ever since the first, even before he took the fiance's statement. So that's a bit of a
It's a misdirect also.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he, Scott Bakula is swearing up and down, oh, he could only have gotten that matchstick in my kitchen while he was taking my fiance's statement, which isn't true.
My
'cause
fiance?
He already had a matchstick in his mouth in the yard. So I don't know.
Well, and then it gets increasingly surreal because Sam is losing it, because in all of these leaps, it's very cut and dry who's going to die.
Right. He's used to following a specific set of rules.
Yeah,
and-
it's, this person dies. We don't know why. We don't know what happened. You're going to have to ffigure that out. So it's like, okay, cool. I'll figure that out. Stop that person from dying. I'll leap. There we go.
Well, and plus when you're left to your own devices, when you normally have, a friend and a computer telling you exactly what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden they start acting strangely,
I'm
the
pretty
stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, by the way, that the future is the year 2000. I'm reasonably certain of that. And if you ever watch the first episode of Quantum Leap, the way it begins is Al's character picks up a girl and he's driving like this like weird ass looking Tesla thing. And he's driving through the desert with this girl.
Just 10 years ahead of when it was made.
Yeah.
And then David Carradine shows up.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's like, he sees something off in the distance and he's like, oh my God, they're starting the experiment without me. And that was when Sam was leaving for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Don't know what happened to the girl. I don't know if he just left her on the side of the road or if he brought her to the super top secret place, then killed her.
The world.
You know, we'll never know. There is actually, as far as the ending goes, because the ending of this show is very controversial. The last leap that Sam made, he fixed Al's life. Because what happened was Al was shot down. He was a pilot. He was a naval aviator.
Mm-hmm.
He was shot down in Vietnam. He was a POW. For the whole series, Al never told him that he had been a POW.
Oh.
He finds out. And in fact, there's actually an episode.
It's like a photographer gets blown up and takes a picture.
Yeah.
And it's freaking Al.
Yeah.
I remember that
and he
one.
sees it and he's like, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I could have freed you. Because there's an episode where he goes back and Sam saves his older brother's life.
Right.
Because his older brother died in Vietnam.
Okay.
And that's actually a pretty cool episode because at the very end, right as he's leaping, his older brother like puts his hand on his shoulder and he goes, thanks, little brother. And then Sam leaps.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
So Sam saved his brother's life, but then, he realizes that he could have saved Al.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what happens is in the finale, he basically takes over the whole leaping thing and he says, no, I'm going to leap there and I'm going to fix it. And he does, and he fixes it. He makes sure that Al goes home. He reunites with his wife. And then Sam is like, I can control this. And so Al's like, great, you can come home. And Sam's basically like, no, I can control this. I can go anywhere I want and fix things.
Mhm.
And so he goes off and he leaps.
When you have a choice, it makes a big difference.
But when he does it, he leaps without Al.
yeah.
And so he's by himself leaping around, fixing things that once went wrong forever.
So now he's just playing God on his own. It's not like
Yeah.
he's getting instructions from anybody else.
But Al was very clear in the first episode, you can't do this forever. Everyone dies.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to do this until you die.
I got to save George Reeves. That's this goal.
Oh,
I got to save George Reeves.
I would
Okay.
actually just say, I would find out what the fuck happened.
yeah.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Who would you save, Jason?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Phil Hartman.
Okay.
Yeah, easy. No questions asked. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr. No, Phil Hartman.
Okay. If we're keeping it on a light note, I would save Steve Irwin.
Okay, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I don't think the George Reeves thing was serious. So do you have?
I
any
would
suggestions?
prove Fatty Arbuckle was innocent.
Oh goodness. Let's see. Who would I save? I would save Cleopatra's little brother, I guess.
All right. Wasn't expecting that for whatever reason.
That's a good one.
It just popped into my head. They drowned him because of the
What if he
Cleopatra.
saved Caesar?
Ooh, that would be cool.
What if you were the guy that goes, "Hey Caesar, you know that Ides of March
Yeah.
thing?
Listen.
Seriously,
Skip it.
beware the fuck out of the Ides of March."
Today's the day to skip the Senate.
Yeah, and then Caesar gets killed, and you go, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
No, I'd have to think about that.
He forgot to bring a banana to the party.
Yeah, if I had more time to think, I would come up with someone that I'd really want to rescue.
Yeah, and it's
same.
weird because I'm thinking like I have family members, but Phil Hartman was the first one that came to
Maybe Alfalfa. I mean, he was killed. He was killed at a.
yeah,
he
that
was rough.
But Alfalfa kind of brought it on
he
himself,
did.
though.
Nothing
Yeah.
eventually. Drugs, alcohol, gambling.
For those of you,
If I saved him,
Don't
I'd
know
probably
what the
save him
hell
for
they're
6
talking
weeks and then he'd be killed again.
yeah, you get back to the present. God damn it!
He died 6 weeks after I
That's
saved
it.
him.
We
Yeah.
spent $2 trillion on this project. Fuck you, Alfalfa.
Oh Lord.
No,
Silly ass boys.
okay, so there we have Cleopatra's brother, Phil Hartman, and
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
Yep.
That would be nice. How would you do it? Would you shoot the stingray?
No, I
like
would have
Schwarzenegger
told,
style.
I would have told the cameraman, or not the cameraman. I would have.
He would inflate his BC.
Yeah, there you go.
I would have told Steve to swim next to the ray.
Swing away, Maddie.
Not above it.
Swing away,
Not above
Maddie.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go back in time and tell M. Night Shyamalan, okay, look,
Here's the thing about that.
here's the deal, dude. I love you, man. So at this point in the episode, Sam is sort of losing it a little because everything is pointing to something vaguely supernatural,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really have the metes and bounds of it. He doesn't know. He's lost. He's at
Well, and
sea.
he's a scientist.
Psychokinesis.
He's a doctor.
He's attributing it to
Yeah.
psychokinesis.
because the skull did fly
Yes.
past his head. You know, I mean,
He
that,
said, he witnessed
happened.
that, and it happened right when his fiance like hit her boiling point. So, as a scientist, he can, he's trying to pair the supernatural
Yeah.
with, the reality of it, and he's just having a hard time coming up with other solutions.
Yeah.
So he does think his girlfriend.
I mean, and
is
this
a
is
witch.
this is a guy who, by this point, has seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he's
I've seen a lot of things. You're welcome.
you win.
They're on
You
their
win.
own again,
You win.
folks. They lost
You
me
get the
too.
prize. We need to have a trophy every
Yeah,
episode.
for whoever
Yeah.
wins the episode.
Yeah, you can take it home and bring it back the next episode.
Absolutely.
I know, but he has. I mean, he was. He broke the sound barrier. He was the fastest man alive, but only because Al was a hologram, and Al flew the plane and told Sam, "Just put your hands where I'm doing it."
I was going to ask you that because does he
Yeah.
does he have the particular set of skills of the people that he leaps into, or
No.
like
He's
Al-
got to wing it.
No, he's gotta wing
He
it.
makes it up as
Yeah.
he goes along.
Right.
That's the tough
Yeah.
part.
That is.
Yeah, I mean, there was
So if he does quantum leap without Al and he winds up being a pilot, or like
without Al, he's dead.
yeah, he's screwed.
Yeah,
Like,
he's-
that-
yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah,
you
oh
learn
boy.
how to do everything in the world,
Yeah.
and then you can leap. Like,
Yeah. And this is a great moment here. This is a Scott Bakula doing what every actor in the 80s and 90s at some point had to do, which was scream the word no.
Yes, with the dead police sheriff.
And it's
yeah.
weird because it looks like the sheriff got shot.
yeah, through the windshield.
But
He bashed his head into the windshield.
Boy,
but-
he would have to really get a good stretch over that,
Yeah.
that big steering wheel. I know.
But here's the question I have, gentlemen. Like, the sheriff is his primary suspect after he basically disproves that his fiance is not killing people. And then the only one left, there's your best friend, Jason. Here's the goat. But is Scott Bakula screaming no because that was his last logical thread
I
that he
think
was
so.
pulling
Yeah.
at?
I think
Okay.
so. And then the sheriff is still there because
Then-
he's like, wait, the sheriff isn't dead? I just saw the sheriff.
Because it's a bit of a mislead as well, where you might think that Stevie's the killer because
Yeah.
he's like the only
I
person
thought that
left
for a
in
minute.
town.
Yeah, I thought that for a New York.
Yeah,
minute.
as it turns out,
Yeah.
Stephen King is actually
A serial
He's
killer.
a hardcore murderer.
no, he just does a lot of
Cocaine.
Cocaine.
Yes.
yeah. His favorite Eric Clapton song, "Cocaine."
You want to get down.
Cocaine.
Lay down, Sally.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, he never suspects Stevie for a second, even though Stevie jumps out with like a scary outfit. Like he's like, "Oh, my car broke down. Sorry, Josh."
Well,
And-
but don't forget, he's not a very intelligent guy. Remember, Sam gave him all
Yeah,
of the
he got fed
ideas.
the
Yeah, I was
idea.
like, here's this, here's that. They should have had a scene where he talks about a clown.
do we know if Steve King like how he actually reacted to this, or did he?
No, I was thinking about that.
because I
He
know that
probably was pretty.
like whatever. I'm
Yeah.
Stephen King. I do
'Cause
what
they-
I want.
It
Because
wasn't
they-
disparaging in any
No,
way. It
they
was cute.
typically didn't do this bit with people who were still alive.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know?
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that like Stephen King he was around then?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, like Buddy Holly, of course, he was dead. So, you could do a bit and it's an
Yeah.
homage. In this case, it's an homage. I do think that they probably, if
John
they,
Lennon.
yeah.
That's who I would save.
Okay.
John
good
Lennon.
one.
All right.
Yeah.
Shoot the crap out of that fat idiot
Oh,
who shot
I
him.
know, yeah.
Yeah. Asshole. What was his name? The guy who shot him? Look it up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll remember when you say it, but I remember when that happened. It was so
here we go. Here's our
Oh,
scene.
he's still got a match in his
got the
mouth too.
fucking-
He just can't get rid of those wooden matches.
Mark
Yeah.
Chapman,
Yeah,
Mark David Chapman.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
three namer.
Yeah. Well,
Because
that's
he killed
it.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So And here's
Just like
another-
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
Yeah.
She's an assassin. She's got 3 names. That's the rule.
I mean, Michael Clark Duncan. And Gunther from Friends.
Yes.
Oh, here's the lights on his eyes, and everything. The doors
See, I
close
wouldn't
and
have
locked.
hesitated to run when I knew the sheriff was dead, and then suddenly
Oh,
the
look at
sheriff
that
is
look
alive
on
and
his
healthy in my
face.
house. I would have run immediately. I would have been like, "Oh, Mary, let's get the hell out of here, please."
Now this is great because this is the scene where, of course, the table's gotten kicked over. The audience is aware of it, so we can start bringing in things. We don't have to hide stuff. So we get Al, the real Al, who shows up, and it's
Al and Josh and Al.
different Al.
I know.
God, look
All
at
the
that.
best sidekicks are named Al.
Yeah, I wish I had a friend named Al. Oh, that'd
We'll
be
find you
nice.
one.
Yeah. So this is, and it's sort of it's an interesting concept that for 3 seasons you've been out doing all this stuff, fixing things. And it is kind of interesting to think, well, did you really think you could do this without pissing somebody off? You've got to be pissing somebody off.
You're throwing off the balance of the universe.
Yeah,
technically.
you're out doing this stuff. And it's interesting because it is sort of a playing God thing. And if you're playing God, who's going to eventually show up and get really mad at you?
Right.
The
So
devil.
true.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's like
And-
that Jason Sudeikis bit, to lighten it up for a second. He was dressed as the devil on the Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live. And they were talking about, he said, yeah, God doesn't hate the gays. The devil, I hate the gays because they come in and I've created poverty and disparagement in these inner cities and it's awesome. And then they come in and clean it up with their cupcake shops and their nice little lofts.
Look
And
how-
damn it, like,
Look how short the real Al is. The way they have it shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
looks
I can see it.
very, very tiny compared
that very
to
He
gold
does.
Devil
tie.
Al.
My God, that's a,
I know his clothes. Well, because he's from the future. He's from the year 2000.
yeah.
in
You
the
know.
way in the future.
Yeah, in the year 2000, that's how we're going to dress.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it? I
Yeah,
was unaware.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have we got a quantum leap back there?
yeah.
I guess I missed the boat on that. But
God, that look on his face.
he kind of looks like the tall man a little bit with the
Yeah.
pulled back expression on his face. I have to expect him to be like, boy.
Well, I mean, this is Dean Stockwell, pulling on years of acting experience. This is the first time he's gotten to do this stuff while he's been on this show.
Mm.
And the
So can Mary see? She can't see the real Al, but she can see the devil Al.
well, but yeah, and the sheriff at one point too, the sheriff looks over at Al and
'Cause the
kind
sheriff-
of acts
Yeah, I
like
thought so. He saw him too.
Yeah, like he
When
can
they're
see
at
him
Mary's
also.
house, he doesn't see him yet. It's like he picks up on his presence though,
Right.
and that's why he knows to emulate Al's
Yeah.
image at the end.
And that's kind of the annoying thing. They do a lot of subtle things in the episode, and then the Stephen King reveal is so on the nose.
Yeah.
And I really, we were texting earlier, and I said, it would have been so much better if it had just been a wink and a nod.
I know.
Yeah.
They didn't need to
'Cause
say
right people were gonna
anything.
pick up on
Exactly.
it.
If
They
he'd
didn't
gone
say
up and said, "Hey, Cujo," and gotten in the car,
and that was the end.
and then just share Al and Sam share a look, and
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have just
You
been
know.
the first 2 things where they know his name is Stevie, and he's like, "I'm going to write the
here we
scariest book
go.
ever," and then the Cujo thing that would have been perfect.
and
Spin me right around, spin me right around.
and it's so. I mean, just putting the 2 actors on a turntable and spinning them,
Yeah.
and it just having the camera locked on the table
Yeah,
just looks so freaky. And then
Oh.
all of the people who have died show up.
and then there's also the
Oh,
goat
And here we go. Here we go. Here's the part
no.
that got me as a kid.
with all the inanimate objects flying across
Ah,
the room.
the
The
fucking
damn goat.
goat!
No, not the goat. No.
And then her, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, she's not as disturbing though. The goat.
No,
'cause
the goat won.
The goat's the only one that's struggling. He's
Yeah.
like throwing his head, and nobody else does that.
Oh,
Everybody
I'm-
else is stock still.
What music video am I thinking of?
Yeah, so many.
Yeah, so
There's so
many.
many possibilities. And of
And
course,
this-
there's no insulation in that home. It
No,
went right through-
no, just go straight through the wall. There's no wall.
I
It just
know.
goes straight through the wallpaper. And there's,
Well, it is basically a haunted
It's
house.
a film set, right?
And then this is the part that it confusing me because then it's like, okay, it's over.
The Superman save. No, I had a teacher that called it that once, where she would encourage us to write stories that don't have a Superman ending, where Dorothy wakes up and it never happened. It's just
Right.
something that lives in her
No
memory.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, it's like give your characters actual consequences. It's okay to do that.
Also, I don't think the kid looks even remotely like
Stephen King? No.
He keeps rubbing his nose. I don't know if that has something to do with it or not, but
I'm going to be an author.
I'm going to think of all the scary things.
Just get Gary Busey to play him.
Oh, God.
Who's the best, Gary Busey? You are.
He would be like his demented version of Al.
Yeah.
Who's the best, Gary Busey?
speaking of, he played Buddy Holly, Gary Busey.
Oh, yeah.
Remember in the Buddy Holly film?
That kid actually looks like Buddy Holly.
Yeah, he does.
Well, maybe it's the glasses.
I was about to say, it's probably the glasses more so than anything else.
Yeah, and of course, so we go back to the beginning, and you're actually here to save Tully, and because of everything that happened, he knows that Tully's going to die.
And that
he
was
does.
his first instinct anyway when he was in the dream. He was like, "What if I was supposed to save Tully? Why haven't I left yet?"
Would you guys think less of me if I started dressing like that just on a daily basis?
Absolutely
the
not.
robe with the shoulder pads.
People would ask me when we do shows together, "Hey, Jade, why does Jason dress like that?" I'd be like, "Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's okay.
None.
We like it that way.
If you don't know,
It's good.
it's because you're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, that was a little Matthew McConaughey there. I know I'm terrible. People just call me up, give me money, make me do movies. I mean,
Mr. Soderbergh, I think today's seemed to be an excellent opportunity for me to take my shirt off. It was actually Matt Damon imitating Matthew McConaughey.
and this is the part where Teddy shows up and they start the fire outside.
Yes.
No, I'm thinking of Bob's Burgers.
Tully kind of looks like the boyfriend of Mort's
He does,
mom.
actually. He totally
Oh my
does.
God.
Art Vader.
Okay. Oh, you know what? If you start dressing like Al, then you've got to get this dressing gown of Sam's.
No, I was going to dress like Sam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant you were.
No,
gonna
I'm
dress
calling
like,
dibs on that.
Yeah, do the dressing gown
With the cravat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I wish I was Scott Bakula. I'd pay a fortune to look like Scott Bakula. And there's Cujo.
Oh.
Come here, Cujo. Mom's letting me drive.
Yeah. No
Just-
seatbelts. Gonna go get some cocaine now.
Yeah.
Well, seatbelts weren't even much
No,
of a
they
thing
weren't.
until the early '90s. Like we used to, jump around the back seat in my grandma's car, and we didn't have to wear them.
Bye-bye,
Till later.
Sam. And here we go. The end of every episode.
What a great
When
ending!
Sam
of this
leaps
one.
out. And that was it was like getting to the bottom of a cereal box. It was like, what's the prize? What's it gonna be next
Yes.
week?
Yep.
Because every episode of this show was completely different from the previous episode.
Well, and this one's actually fantastic. There's a mislead because the mom is like waving goodbye, and it looks like she's waving goodbye to her son, like
I
going
know.
into the army
Yeah.
or
You
something.
can't tell, right?
Yeah.
I wish I could come with you, son, but your daddy would go crazy with those twins at home, and you think she's seeing him off to war or something.
Yeah.
And then she goes to give him a bag of like supplies.
I know, and there he is in his flats and
poodle
his poodle
skirt.
skirt.
Oh my god! I wonder how they found flats that big.
Well, that was actually one of the
He
things.
borrowed them from Marshmallow.
Yeah. She's not handsome. She's beautiful.
Hey, baby.
Hey,
Lush.
baby. Because if you show me a potato,
He's so-
I'm all over it.
This has gone too far.
no, never.
Miss Sugar,
Sugar
Bee.
Bell.
Oh, Sugar Bell.
right?
Yeah, because apparently this person won a
Oh,
local
boy.
beauty contest, and they're off to go win a more national
Right.
based one. Or
Yes.
something, so.
But of course, like, it's going to turn out that her friend was raped and murdered. It's like there's something bad is going to happen.
oh yeah, some
Well, at
dark
first I
things
thought it
lurking
might have
around
been
the
Rosa
corner.
Parks, right? Because she was sitting at the front of the bus, and then it was like, okay,
I
it's a
think
white
they-
lady, so probably
I think they
not.
did that.
Yeah, I think
think-
they
I
did.
That would have been neat.
Yeah, they did a bunch of stuff. There was
Did he wear blackface for it?
no, because he doesn't. Yeah.
I'm just
Well, I mean,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
there was an episode he leapt
That'd be-
into Lee Harvey Oswald,
Ah.
and it was really interesting because it was like, Al's like, great, you're Lee Harvey Oswald. This is going to be easy. Just don't go to
Don't
go to Dallas that day.
Don't kill him.
And it was like Lee Harvey Oswald was so evil because don't forget,
Yeah.
Lee Oswald was in the chamber back in the future.
Mm.
So they were like talking to Lee Harvey Oswald,
Mm.
but Oswald and Sam like started to merge.
Oh,
Oh,
no!
and he became evil.
And it was like Al was begging him not to do it.
Oh god.
And it was interesting. It's a good show. You don't get stuff like this these days. You kids these days.
That's
He
right.
will.
You don't
We'll
understand.
never know.
Well, that was our Halloween episode.
Yeah. We don't have to do an Alf to
Halloween.
Seinfeld because
We all like our
we
Yeah,
love
I
them.
don't-
shows.
yeah.
We picked them.
They're all great.
Yeah, Bob's Burgers is
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Awesome.
shows.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Community.
one of my all-time favorite shows.
The best
Well,
ever.
we like them currently, so Alf
exactly.
to Seinfeld. There's no change in perspective. Like
Allison
what Adam
Brie,
was
if you're
saying.
watching this,
Call me.
no,
That's right. Britta, quit making phone calls. Sorry. She hangs up her phone.
She still uses her phone as a phone.
See, this is why we have to do more than just text about things, Jeff.
Yes.
God.
Take us home, Darth.
All right. Well, this has been a very fun and exciting episode. So before we roll out, Mr. Brown, don't you want to reveal the second layer of your costume?
I do.
Because
and I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these pesky kids. Oh, look at this.
Forgot the headphones.
I got the headphones.
You
If it wasn't for these pesky kids, I would have been able to play Scooby-Doo for the whole episode.
How fucking hot have you been the whole time?
I'm so hot. Jane thinks I'm hot. All the girls think I'm hot.
Mr. Brown.
That's because I supplied them with the weed. I'm Shaggy now,
That took a
not
turn.
just me.
Anyway.
But, okay, that was my little
I
little
didn't-
gag. Okay, it's over now. Let's end this.
Thought it was going to be cuter than that.
I didn't plan any of this. This is not.
We were not involved in that. He showed up like this, I swear. But
That's actually his real hair.
yes.
He's collected it over years and had it made into a
From
wig.
the bottom of the shower,
from
and
the bottom
I
of the
just glued
shower.
it on. It's very nice. Thank you.
Actually, our scientists can take hair from other parts of it.
Oh, no. Anyway,
Very curly.
Hindsighters, this has been not only a very special episode of Hindsight is Horrifying, but our last Halloween episode of 2020.
And maybe ever.
Yeah, after all that, I'm not really sure anymore. So, guys, it's been fun. I'm glad we thought up a different concept for this final episode. It's been a good time hanging with you as always. And Hindsighters, thanks for tuning in to this newly irreverent episode. We super appreciate it. Your three podcasters really love you. Thank you for joining us for your drive time, your listening time, your reading time, your eating time. We really don't care what kind of time.
Your, alone time.
Oh, I don't know if I want them tuning in for their alone time. Anyhow,
I do. Just to see myself.
this has been Hindsight, and good night.